The following is a conversation with Upasana Sethi. Upasana is an author, a minimalist coach, and a podcaster herself. This conversation, as you can guess, because she is a minimalist coach, revolves quite a lot around minimalism and what the rubrics of the particular philosophy are. Just a side note before we get into the episode, minimalism is something that has really fascinated me in just the philosophy that it is. Oftentimes, people have this misconception of people are actually depriving themselves of not actually experiencing everything in the world and simply limiting them to just the bare minimum. Upasana outlined that's not the manner in which he looks at minimalism or how actually minimalism is perceived even by minimalists, let's say. It's simply focusing on the core essentials, actually channeling your life into things that you really find meaningful and just maximizing on those particular things and almost shying away from things that distract you and take your attention away and almost take your focus away from the goals that you really want to strive and work towards. It was a really fascinating conversation with Upasana, and I think I got to learn a lot about minimalism and just how people can actually practically approach it in their lives, which I think is great. So without further ado, here's the episode. Hey Upasana, welcome to the All Walks of Life podcast. It's a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you so much, Ishan. Pleasure is all mine.
So, just before we get going into the things I really want to talk about today, can you give the listeners and the viewers a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Yeah, so basically, I'm a mother to 2 kids, and now I'm full-time following my passion, that is podcasting. And I am an ex-corporate who was into IT career for 10 long years. And I just decided to not follow the rat race and just quit the rat race because, if I would have succeeded, even then I would still be a rat. Yeah, so I just decided to quit that rat race where my job was only allowing me to afford an expensive lifestyle. Nothing more than that. So I decided that I will sit down at first and find where my passion lies, because when I quit my job, I did not have any other plans.
Yeah.
So I just slowed down and I just let my mind think where my passion lies. So yes, I found it in podcasting, and then it started in May 2020. So it's almost more than a year now. Yes.
So what was that process like almost? Because I've spoken to several people about this aspect that of just sitting down with yourself and with your thoughts and actually understanding what's valuable in your life and what you care about and what you want to drive towards. Like, what was that process like? Like, how did you go about that? Like, were there some specifics you could share possibly?
Yeah. So, see, we all are different, and our passion lies in different things because of the same reason. But finding your unique passion is not that easy for everyone. It takes some tough time, asking some tough questions to yourself as well, because change is never easy. And without asking these tough questions to yourself, you can't certainly move ahead or, find your passion. So when you sit down without having anything in hand, without having the pressure to perform, without having the pressure to go out and, exhaust all the day, run day and night to earn. So that is a time when you really think about, when you can really think about what I am for here. What is my purpose? What is my purpose in life? So this is only when you allow yourself to sit down and, spend some time with your own self. That is when you can find your passion.
So, like, if I have to put a term to it, is that sort of a crux of the minimalist philosophy as such? Because you write a lot about it. Obviously, your podcast is about it. And on other social media platforms as well, you share a lot about the minimalism philosophy. often people who aren't, let's say, well aware with it, even me for that matter, who haven't delved into it as much as you have a sort of a general approach from the outside that, okay, it's abstention from so many things, and is there even a point of living, or those sorts of some of them even move towards nihilist perceptions of when they think about minimalism in that sense. Do you have a particular definition of minimalism and how you sort of define it?
Okay. See, growing up, I could have never imagined myself telling my life story as a minimalist, because at that time, I didn't even know that living with less intentionally, these terms exist. So, yes. So, even the existence of minimalism wasn't something that I knew back then. But for me, minimalism is not only about your stuff and, renouncing everything overnight and just move away to live in a caravan. It's not just that. It's about choosing everything intentionally, whatever is entering your life, whatever. Maybe it may be the thing, it may be work, it may be people. So when you choose intentionally, you are a minimalist. But you have to be very intentional about everything you are allowing in your life, be it food as well. Yes.
So is that liberating in some sense? Because I mean, I don't think I've gone to the extent as much as you have, but I sort of have done it with a few things. Like you touched about food. So I think I have a very minimalist approach to food in that sense, because I was just speaking to Ankita Srivastava, who is a content creator and who also talks a lot about nutrition and well-being for those kinds of things. So I told her that I have a very regimented diet in that sense, and I don't move away from that. And that takes into account my nutritional needs that I have to meet, but also something I mentioned to her was that I was really inspired from Gandhi, not only for several other reasons, but also if you look at it in terms of not thinking about the things you have to do, almost like a stoic approach to it. So it's almost like, okay, so I have to eat. There's just food that is there. I don't have to let my mind wander into thinking that, oh, what do I feel like eating today? Does it make sense in terms of where I'm coming from?
Yes, somewhat. Yes, because yes, the more simple our food is, the more the less it takes. The less effort it takes in terms of our focus or the stress cooking comes with. Because yes, I totally believe. Food should be, involve simple ingredients. It shouldn't be like always scrumptious meal and full-fledged meal. So it should be as simple as it. Yes, when it comes to food, there's one interesting line from my father, what I relate with when I started following minimalism. He always used to say that there shouldn't be anything in your life in terms of food that you can't live with, because we all have our unique, what I must say, unique limitations, or that this is something I can't just live with. I need this
or else I'll die.
in my daily diet, or otherwise I don't call it a day.
Yeah.
So this is of course an addiction. Yes. So there shouldn't be anything what we can't live with, or what we can't say that our diet is not complete without that. So this sentence from him resonates with me a lot when I talk about minimalist diet. And yes.
So I was listening to an interview of yours where you spoke a lot about this aspect of when you started off with your journey of minimalism. There were so many that it often came to your mind that there were things that you associated as needs, but later on when you started exploring this whole path of minimalism, that you actually found out that those were wants. So like, can you sort of untangle this process of like just your journey through minimalism and like your experiences, and then possibly we can get into this whole phenomena of what we conceive to be needs in the modern day, and how that may not be true.
Right. So while I was in my 20s, shopping was my need. Being a woman, I can certainly touch that point. Shopping was my need, but now it isn't. I only shop when it's needed, because it's not a need anymore. It's a want. We want to fulfill whenever a sale comes, whenever we have salary in account coming in. So there was a time when I was actually earning to spend. So yeah, even before the salary was coming in, I was making a list of how to spend it. Oh my God, it was a transition from there to here now, where I am not making that list, and even I am not thinking about what to buy next. So yes, it is a transition. It is a slow transition which happened over the years, over 3 to 4 years of time, and so that was my journey from a shopaholic girl in my 20s to now a minimalist woman.
So, do you think you're still going ahead with that journey in some ways, in subtracting things from your life, even right now, that you feel that are things that you could possibly do without, and aren't, let's say, adding value to your life? Is that the particular word here, like adding value, or something that you find meaningful?
Right. So if we want to summarize minimalism in 2 words, yes, it's all about subtraction and addition. But more than subtraction, it's more inclined to addition, because yes, once we are done with subtraction part, which is a one-time task, or I must say one time, you can do it in one time. It's more about adding new things, because there's always an opportunity to add more things, more people, more work to your under your plate. But when you are intentional about what to add and how much to add, it's yes. Minimalism gets only complete meaning when you are adding more intentionally.
So why do you think that, I touched about this little earlier, right? Like with this aspect of people who from the outside, who may not understand the philosophy as well, may have these preconceived notions of what minimalism is, and they may start associating it with some sort of nihilism or those sorts of things. Like, what can you speak of that? Like, just the misconceptions that surround the whole phenomena of minimalism.
Yes, there are many, because being a Punjabi, I can totally say that there are many among our tribe, because Punjabis are people who like to show off, like to splurge on things, who like to spend a lot on weddings, a lot on self grooming, and yes, following the fashion trend. But yes, so once I am telling you an incident. My brother-in-law was wearing a T-shirt with minimalism written on it. So I was just curious. I asked him, Bea, are you following minimalist lifestyle? Because yes, you are wearing a T-shirt. So he said, no, I just can't deprive myself. How can I? Oh my God. So I just got to know that yes, there are lots of misconceptions around it. There are lots of myths around it, at least in the people around me. So that is the first misconception, that it is deprivation. It is not. It is not deprivation, certainly, because, see, it must be deprivation for our ancestors, because then the resources were limited. There were a lack of resources. For them, it must be deprivation, but for at least for our generation, for the generations coming forward, it is not certainly deprivation. It is intentionally cutting down or downsizing your stuff or your digital life. Yeah. So it's that. It's not certainly deprivation. I must say it's a privilege. Because see, someone who is already struggling with his income sources can't just think about what is minimalism and how can I follow that. Only when I'm privileged to think about that sector, that area, only then I can explore minimalism. So minimalism is for the privileged people, not the deprivation at all.
So do you think it's in a sense that people from the outside may think it's depriving oneself from, let's say, these material things that are there in the world. But do you think in some sense it's liberating, or it's actually freeing you? Because the thing is, in the world we live in, everyone's almost chasing, as you said, even with your background, when you were in your 20s, you were always thinking about, let's say, what material things you could add to your life and those sorts of things. But do you feel that once you've sort of framed your mindset in the things that you value, and then those are the things you're going to work towards, then it's almost liberating that you don't want to then go into that materialistic lifestyle in some sense?
Yes, certainly I can really talk about that, because even when I was a mother to a single kid,
Yeah.
I didn't really have the time to attend to his needs. Because I myself was running day and night. I move out of the home early in the morning and just get back almost at 8 in the night, when I wasn't capable of attending to him physically and mentally both. So it's quite liberating in that sense. Even if someone doesn't have kids, doesn't have a family to attend, family to look after. Even for self, it is so much liberating when you don't have that pressure to be par with the society, society cult. I must not say culture, with the societal beliefs,
Expectations,
where people relate abundance to the number of things you have. They really equate abundance with number of stuff, number of things anyone own. So even I had this notion of, yes, abundance is how much money I have in my bank account. But now it's so liberating that I don't actually calculate how much money I'm having, and even if it's satisfying my wants, because I am not having unnecessary wants that society has put me in. Now, I have my needs, I have my passion where I want to travel, I want to go over the places, but that's not because social media has put inside me, So I'm already living a life where I need less vacation, because I'm not in a rush. I'm not in a rush of running day and night, where working 5 hours, hustling 5 days in a week, and then waiting for those 2 days, Saturdays and Sundays, for me to go out and just looking for a getaway. So I am in the English term, I am on a holication. So I am not now hustling 5 days a week to wait for this 2 days.
What can you say of this aspect that maybe even if people are, let's say, in a 9 to 5, because obviously as you said, it's people in privilege who can sort of speak about these in terms and start of implementing minimalism in their life. But do you feel for the general populace even, it can be sort of pushed forward, in the sense that even if you are working a 9 to 5, maybe you can work towards it in a mindset that even though you understand that there are a set of things you have to get done, like just the mind space in which you approach it can make a world of difference, right? And in the sense that if it's an industry that they don't particularly want to work in the future, maybe if they have a clear vision of where they want to work in and what they want to do, possibly channeling it in a sense that, okay, I understand that I have to work in this particular job because I have to sustain myself, but then they have ways of advancing their career. Okay, maybe I'll spend every weekend applying for jobs in certain things that I really want to work in. So that's just going to be a process of them seeing a career trajectory. So I don't know how much it relates to minimalism as such, but just a philosophy in which one can live their life. Like, do you think that's a good way of going go ahead with it?
Right. So yes, I don't really promote quitting job when you are minimalist. It's something I did because that wasn't my passion, where my passion lies in. But even if you are doing a job to sustain your family, yeah, so you can always have your long-term goals in your mind. So whenever you're working on daily basis, you have two types of to-do lists. One is short-term and one is long-term. So even if you are working 9 to 5, you should have these long-term goals in your mindset that going forward, after I fulfill my duties of earning money for my family, my passion lies here. At least you should be clear of your passion at first. It should be in your mind, even if you are not following it as a job. It should be there in your mind. There should be clarity in your mind first, that this is something where my passion lies and I have to work on this too apart from my job. So when you have that goal, when you have that long-term plan, that where do I see myself 10 years later, so you will certainly work on that goal, long-term goal or dream or passion of yours, even if it's very slow or even if it's part-time. At least you have that clarity in your mind.
Yeah.
So you have that, you have already found your passion. So this passion of yours should be clear, even if you are doing a job as well.
So do you feel that in some sense, if people are working jobs as well, maybe, I don't know if I'm trying to mix it together, but don't you feel for some people their jobs could be like their passion, right? Or maybe it's an introductory phase, something that they have to almost cater to, like a training program for if they want to go and start their startup, or if they want to go and start their studio of art or something of that sort. But like they sort of need that experience, be it to sustain themselves, to get them in a financial situation and then possibly go and do it, or transitioning into the techniques that they've learned, the skills that they've learned at their job, to transition it to their startup or to their business or what have you. Does that make sense?
Yes, totally. You make sense by saying that, Ishan, because even if you ask me even now, I really see my experience in IT sector as beneficial, because that gave me the exposure, that gave me the confidence I wanted to have, but I didn't have before joining that corporate career. So our journey is what makes us, that is something what makes us whole, what matters. Because see, even if, as you said, that you know that to reach that goal, to open your studio, you have to work under someone before. Yes, you have to work under someone for some extent of time to gain that experience, to gain that exposure, to gain that confidence you want in your being an entrepreneur. So yes, certainly, and it's not something that is taking away from your goal. It's certainly part of journey where you are moving towards your goal. Even if you're working for someone, but you are working on your own goals for that matter. Yes.
Yeah, I think that's so true. I just feel that people often sometimes don't see like progress, because they're like, oh, I'm slogging every day. It's been like 4-5 months. I'm in the same job. I don't see growth. I don't see improvement. But I think that's possibly because if they haven't laid out how they see their life and like how they visualize it and what kind of a life they want to live, then maybe they get stuck in that particular this log and seeing there is no improvement. But I just simply feel that if one, as you said, spends time with oneself and tries to put the things that they really value in life and what they want to get out of it, maybe that they can work their way ahead with life.
Yes, right. The problem with us is we want the results very fast. And I mean, how can we see ourselves from someone who is working under someone, from an entrepreneur in just a single year of time or in 6 months? So we should understand first, to be clear with our approach, to be first aware that at least I should be practical. I may think that I'll open up my studio in next 6 months, but it's not practical because you haven't haven't attained that, haven't
Maybe the
taken that
proficiency,
training,
yeah.
haven't came across the jargons and whatever. So it's, at least you should set a practical goals for yourself at first. That's why I said at least you should be clear in your mindset. The approach should be right. It's not that I'm setting unrealistic goals for myself and just, quitting my job for even if that is compromising my family's safety and security level. Yes.
So you touched upon this great word called validation, and you speak a lot about this on your social media platforms as well, like this aspect of delayed gratification. And I think that's so true, because that just speaks to like you having some maturity in that sense, and you knowing that it's all right if you aren't, let's say, getting the break right away. It will come in the future. But what do you have to speak of this in general in the society we live in right now, because of social media? And I don't want to simply pin it down to social media, but just how everything is. There's just so much instant gratification that we have at our hands, that if someone is feeling low, and then again, I don't know how, if I've made my mind up if it's actually good or bad, because I can see positives to it as well. Of just people taking to social media and saying that, oh, this was my day, and then there'd be 5-6 people coming right at them and saying that, oh, that's okay, or this, that, whatever. In some way that is good, because it gives you that instant push of not feeling low. But do you feel that that's sort of missing the point, because then you don't have those in-depth relationships with those people? Because often you're speaking, something I say on my podcast oftentimes is that even when you're interacting with people on social media, you're interacting with their avatars and not them, because it's a version that they'd want to portray out on the world, and that may not necessarily, for the most part, isn't how they actually are. So that's another thing that people have to take into account. So what are your general thoughts around validation rather, and delayed validation?
Right. So I'll start with myself. See, being a minimalist, people would see me as someone who first don't have a family to cater to, don't have someone to cook for, don't have kids. So maybe people can portray me as someone who just don't want to do these duties and live in the mountains. Maybe it's their picture how they portray me as a minimalist, because but I am not this. I'm not someone who they are portraying me into. I am a minimalist in my own terms. So yes, this happens a lot time when we see someone on social media and portray them as what we feel, as what we believe, that people, or the role he is playing, or the message he or she is trying to put on social media. Because I'm always talking about minimalism, but it's not that I'm always, my house is always clean and shining, everything is just inside the wardrobes. Yes, of course, with kids, I do have clothes lying on the bed sometimes. It's not that my house is just picture perfect, because it's on social media, but it's not in real. So yes, we shouldn't at least, compare our journey with anyone else, online or offline. And validation is something, yes, we always seek for, people, because we always tend to count our likes and comments. There isn't any comment on what I have posted. I think it's not something right, because we always seeking validation from other people. We doubt our own capabilities and lifestyle, because we are not getting compliments from others or validation, at least a single remark from others. So we always self-doubt ourselves, and this makes us doubt, are we going right? Are we doing something right? Or it happens with, a lot of teenagers or young people. It happened to me as well, when I also had the peer pressure that I am, because being, I was always a creative person. I wanted to pursue arts, but my peers were going for MNCs, for on-campus placements. So I felt like I'm missing out. I am that is why I went for that off-campus placements. I accepted that job offer. I came up with yes. So yes, oftentimes we tend to compare and we tend to seek for validation, but it happens more when you are young. So in the course of time, you get to realize that it's not something good for your growth.
So you touched upon this aspect that it's how we generally see, like it depends on what we cater to and what our algorithm, like who we are following. But I feel that sometimes it's not only our responsibility. Obviously we have to be mindful of what we're being exposed to and those sorts of things, but sometimes I just feel it's subconscious. So even if you think that let's say someone's posted something or even commented on a picture of yours or whatever, and you think that yeah, whatever, it's not going to affect me or something, but maybe that's just you tricking yourself, because we just don't know how the subconscious works, and perhaps that's just there in your mind. And next time when you're orienting yourself in whatever, so maybe if there was a person who commented something about a blog post that you didn't that particular person didn't like, and maybe the next time you're sitting down to write, that thought just strikes into your mind, and initially you may have thought that it's not affecting you, but that's just there. So that's another thing I would just like to add there, right? Like we just subconsciously sometimes are just things we can't
Do the things stored
care
as
of.
per in our subconscious mind.
Yeah.
Okay, so yes, subconscious mind is something we don't even know about. Most of the times, I mean, 90% of the times, we don't even know what is there in our subconscious mind. Yeah. So yes, and these things in our subconscious mind are the result of so many years of upbringing, our beliefs from our childhood. They are the sum of that. It's not made up in one day. So if I talk about my beliefs that around, suppose, money. So I always used to hear that paise peed pe nahi ugte, you know. And once my father said that I asked him to buy a bigger car because I knew that we can afford that. But my father replied that I don't have that much of money. If you want that bigger car, you earn well in your life and get that bigger car for yourself as well as your family if you want to. So I just had this in subconscious mind somewhere stored that if I am able to buy a car for me and myself, I can call myself successful. You know, and that what I aimed for so many years, that I want to buy a car. I want to earn that much that I can buy a bigger car for my family. But yes, I bought it. I bought it because I was earning well. But still then, you know, I wasn't really happy. I mean, have I reached my goal? No. After buying that car, no. The goal wasn't that car. So I had this image in my mind that money, I should earn money to acquire more things. So these all things, subconscious mind really works from all the beliefs we collected through the years. So yes, our mind certainly works on through them. So our actions are based on what we are currently now in, and mostly based on those subconscious mind thoughts or beliefs. Certainly.
So there's so much to unpick here, but I'd like to go back to this aspect when we were talking about needs and wants. So, like, what do you think it is? Because I think human nature is so, like, there's so much to explore here, because the thing is, we may think that we need to eat 3 times a day or something of that sort, but the thing is, like, and this is something I just can't shut up about because I mentioned it so many times, but I've fasted and I've tried 2 meals a day and even 1 meal a day sometimes, and it's not that you have to eat 3 meals a day.
Yeah, and you just work fine.
You work fine, and sometimes you feel better because, like, the times I've gone 1 meal a day or those sorts of things, my mind is the most sharpest, like in terms of focusing on the things that you can, like you really want, like the big ideas you want to get done in the day,
Right,
and
right,
not simply layering your day on food as such, and thinking that Acha, I've
Right,
eaten
right.
breakfast, so what's for lunch, or those sorts of things. And that's similar with so many things, not just food, but like clothing, or with relationships, or those sorts of things. Like, what do you like? How do you think about needs and wants, and like, yeah, what is a need and what is a want?
Okay, so want is something I must call a distraction that is taking away from your goals, or if not goals, that is acting as a distraction to your passion, through to your in your journey to reach your passion, to follow your passion. So if you are talking about food, yes, if my focus is most of the day, my focus is on food, what to eat next. So I may feel distracted. Yeah, I'm working and I'm thinking what to eat next. So it takes us away from that, that
Goal,
flow.
that thing you have to.
That
you're
thing you
aiming at.
have to, yes, that thing you have to tick off for, for the day. So it takes you away from that. And needs are not distractions. Needs are, you should not actually mark your needs as your distractions. Yes, because yes, I have to take bath, I have to go to the washroom for this much of time in my day, I have to have a coffee in a day to let me work more efficiently. So these are the needs, and which are different for everyone, and want is something and always a distraction. It is always a distraction for us in terms of because see, what I was doing is, I'll tell you by example. What I'm doing is making a wish list for myself, that I want these many things for myself. So I was always thinking what to buy next. So it is a distraction. I mean, why should I think
Because it's just
what
endless.
to buy next to reach my goal? I mean, it is not necessary what to buy next to reach my goal. So what to do next is a necessity, is a need. So, but what to buy next or what to eat next? No, that's not a need. What to eat next? Because a need of food can always be met through a simple dal, chawal, or whatever your, whatever cultural meal you have in your whatever meal you have in your culture. So, but I want a lavish meal for myself. I want to process it through multiple steps. I want shahi kofta for myself, rather than that simple ghiya kofta, which takes much lesser time, So yes, we always have the chance to increase our wants, but we should choose to fulfill our needs most of the time.
So Buddha said that desire is the root of all suffering, and like on social media you've often, like, I think in your room you have a portrait of Buddha and those sorts of things. Like, Buddha is someone who's had a major influence on my life and how I look at the world and those sorts of things. Like, what is your relationship? Like, has Buddhist philosophy sort of influenced the way you look at, and is minimalism in some sense has interlinks with Buddhism in some sense? Can I say that?
I can't comment more on that because I'm not actually into Buddhism. But yes, I really go by that quote: "Desire is
is the root of all suffering."
Root of all suffering. Yes, certainly, because it has no end to it. It has no end to it. We can increase it by any amount. Yes. So yes, I can certainly relate minimalism with the concept of not exactly Buddhism but spirituality.
Yeah.
So when you are on the path of spirituality, you don't really go by the beliefs people put inside you. So it's a path you set for yourself, where you are liberating yourself of these materialistic things. stuff should not be the reason for you to live it, and it should not be the only thing in your mind. So yes, minimalism is something we can relate to spirituality a lot.
Do you feel people sort of because I think a lot about this aspect of gratitude as well in one's life, and sometimes though I just feel that I'm just very thankful at the smallest of things that I have. Like sometimes I just smile at the cup of coffee and just I'm just enjoy the fact that I'm alive, and it's just such a great thing to be alive in that sense. And I guess this touches a little bit base with your conversation with Purva Kumar, and I guess you guys really delved into that particular topic. But what do you think about this aspect of gratitude and really just valuing the moments and valuing life as such? So yeah, what do you think about it in general?
Yes, they are gratitude and minimalism are something that go hand in hand. You can't leave gratitude behind while following minimalism. I must tell you that my journey started with gratitude only. I started making, if you are following me on Instagram, you must have seen my gratitude pies back in July 2018. I started making these, a pie chart having 5 or 6 sectors, and I used to write the things I'm grateful for each day. So I did for good 6 months from July to December 2018. So I did write my gratitude pies for good long 6 months. And that was the time I started delving more into minimalism, because I started being grateful for everything I had at that time. So not those big things, that salary came in today, I bought this today. No. But those small things which we tend to miss while running, day and night, while just hustling. My pot has a new flower today. My plant has a new flower today. So these are the small things. My kid hugged me. Of course, they hugged us daily. That becomes a normal. But still, we tend to miss. We tend to actually focus on that we take that for granted. We have kids. They will give us hugs, but we tend to lose our focus on that hugs and kisses from kids are something we take for granted. We start taking for granted. So when you are grateful for the things, for the people, for everything you have currently in your life, you are already a minimalist, I guess, because minimalism is not is only relative. You can count it only relative to the environment you are in. So when you're not grateful for the things you have, you automatically want more.
Yeah.
Because you're not grateful for the whatever you have. So what you are looking for something outside. So you're looking for love. If not stuff, you're looking for love outside. You already have it in your life, but you're not recognizing it, and you're looking for it outside.
In the external world, yeah.
In the external world, in the external things maybe. Or maybe you are looking for it in travel. It may happen. So yes, when we are grateful for the things, for everything we already have with us, we are already on this path of minimalism.
Yeah, I think, but it's easy speaking about it in the sense, but it's to put it in action, it's
right.
Difficult because I wouldn't say obviously I don't think anyone's been able to master it in that sense, but the thing is, I've taken steps towards it. Like something I mentioned on my podcast a few times, that previously when I used to be eating a meal, I used to always have something on, like a YouTube video or a book or something of that sort, and I just realized that I wasn't focusing on the food as such, but the food was just there and there was something playing. So I didn't think I had a good relationship with my food or even doing justice to what I was watching or something of that sort. And in Krishna Bhakti movements, there's often this aspect of if you're doing something, just do that thing. Just put all your energy into doing that particular thing, because only then will you be able to really focus in on that thing and just be able to experience it to its fullest, if that makes sense.
Yes,
And
in modern terms, I guess we call it mindfulness.
I guess, yeah.
Because being mindful of whatever you are doing right now, our our brain has huge storing capacity. So even sometimes it may happen we are talking to someone and our mind is wandering somewhere else because we are not mindful of what we are doing currently.
Sometimes I've seen this. That if you're in a conversation, like if you are going out for dinner with a few friends or something, sometimes people just have their phones out on the table, so they aren't even invested in the conversation they're having at right now, but about, let's say, something else. So that's a lag in itself, isn't it? So,
Right. Yeah. Yes, you are right, because we are not totally involved in whoever or whatever we are doing.
or whoever we're with, or
Whoever we are
doing
with.
justice to them.
Yes,
So.
yes.
You wrote this book called A to Z of Minimalism. Like, what was your a practical guide to freedom? What was your philosophy in writing that book? And are there some things you could possibly share from that?
Okay, I must confess that it is not a manual, complete manual on minimalism. It was just a small ebook I wrote for myself, actually,
Right.
because I wanted to.
I think that's the best way, because like I think writing is like sharpening your mind in some sense. So if you're struggling with a concept, if you start writing it, it's like a meta form of thinking. Does that make
Right.
sense?
So yes. So how I wanted things to be shaping for me. So I've written that book only for myself. How I want to go. How I want to start this journey of minimalism for myself. So that covers various areas I wanted to explore minimalism. So that includes food, diet, gifting, keepsakes. There's so many areas we can apply minimalism in. So I wrote down those, keywords where I wanted to apply minimalism: living with less, or doing less, or downsizing, or detachment. So I wrote it for in that perspective, that which all the areas I want to minimize.
Right. Like, and sort of the title of the book also has a practical guide to freedom in that sense. Is it
Yeah.
touching about the same things that we're having a conversation about?
Yes, right.
Sort of singling out what's meaningful to you in your life, and that wouldn't then mean that you're not living life. You're just living life to the things you really want to get done in that particular life. If that makes sense.
Right, but that is, a summary of. I'll not say that book is a very diverse or covers a lot about minimalism. It is a small handbook of anyone who wants to begin their journey of minimalism, because people are not clear where to begin and how to approach.
Yeah.
So the very first chapter is approach, A to Z. So those are the chapter names. A is approach, B is something else. So
right.
that way. So I tried to cover minimalism in as many aspects as we can in our lives. So that is a very beginner kind of book.
No, that's fine. I mean, this was sort of my lead-up question in that sense of because you are a minimalist coach as well. Like, what are some ways in which individuals can sort of start implementing minimalism in their life? Like, what are some things that you tell your clients?
First of all, I don't actually tell them what to do.
Right. Sorry, but
I ask them what to just find out what is their why. Why do you want to explore minimalism at first? Because someone who is coming to me, of course, has some idea about what is minimalism actually, what they think minimalism is. So they have that idea already in their mind. So I ask them to find first their why of following this lifestyle, because someone who may be struggling with their relationships, there may be someone who is struggling with their work. So this why is different for everyone. And how to find this why, your unique why, is only you get it only by asking some questions to yourself. The very first thing I discuss about in our conversation, that you have to ask some tough questions to yourself and giving the honest answers to yourself, because you have to be very honest with you. Otherwise you just can't reach the goal, really understand that what is your why of following minimalist lifestyle. You have to find your why by asking tough questions and giving honest answers. And I try to do that with a normal regular conversation. I don't want to make anyone guilty that you have that much stuff. Oh my God, why you have gathered so much stuff? Or because we all are like that. We all were raised like that. So I don't want to make anyone feel guilty or judge anyone for their belongings, for their approach. But I only converse with them, conversing with them their hobbies, their liking, their lifestyle, their routine, because our routine matters a lot. I want to travel, but I'm a mother to 2 kids, so I know I can't be a traveler. I can't be a travel blogger, whatever. I just can't travel for 25 days in a month, because I have small kids to look after. So that should be very practical, and that comes only when you give honest answers to yourself while looking at your lifestyle, which is different from everyone around.
Yeah, sorry, I think I didn't possibly phrase that well. So obviously, telling isn't the right word to use there, but possibly, let's say you have a conversation with a person and you ask them that what are those whys, and why you want to live, why you want to do stuff of that sort, and maybe they come back to you with a list of things that they really want to pursue. Then what's the approach like then? Do you possibly help them form actionable goals, or like what's the next steps?
So we first look for the ways they can explore minimalism, because not everyone can just minimize their stuff, throw away the stuff. If suppose someone is living in a joint family and he or she just feels overwhelmed with the stuff, they are having so much of them so of them around them. So this is just can't possible for him or her to throw away the stuff just as is, but he or she needs to discuss it with his family members, or the other members of the family, and slowly asking or preparing their minds to make them understand that we don't really need that stuff to be happy, or to in future. Mm-hmm. So it is different for everyone. So and it involves not only that person, it involves his or her family as well. So it's not that easy. It stretches to a month or to few months of time, maybe 3 months. Sometimes it takes more as well. I generally don't want to straightforwardly ask what is your why, but to ask about what, how is your what about your family members, how many members you have, what is your family culture. So there are many things belong to it. There are many things in the background that is related to before we really start that coaching session.
So you talked about this aspect of family, and do you feel that there's often, maybe you've experienced this with your own life or something of that sort, is there like a pushback generally from people in the family of who possibly aren't, let's say, well aware of the whole minimalist philosophy, of them coming to terms with it, and if so, like how long does it possibly take of them actually understanding what you're trying to achieve?
Right. Yeah. So many of my friends started portraying me as spiritual coach. Oh my God. I said I'm not a spiritual. I'm not getting anywhere near to them at that role, a spiritual coach. Oh my God. So they started thinking like that. Even my husband, he wasn't judging me, but he started asking me, what is this? I mean, why you are suddenly into, downsizing and suddenly saying no to everything, yeah. So I explained to him, and he really understood my point of view, because I didn't ask him to minimize his stuff or whatever things in his life. I you can't just control others' lives. You have only one life to control, that is yours. So you can convince people around you, but that is a slow process, and you can't expect them to understand you fully. Through your eyes, through your mindset. They have their own mindset. They have their own values. They will understand you through their lens, not yours. So yes.
Yeah.
It's So family plays a major role when you are bringing any change in your life.
I mean, you said this aspect that you wouldn't want to sort of go out of your way and force people into following minimalism in that sense. But and I think that's the only approach, that you have to sort of do it to yourself and lead by example, if that is. But have you sort of seen people then see your approach and like it, and then say that, okay, maybe I should give this a try, and then they've given it a try, and then they like the way of living in this particular minimalist philosophy? So, like, has that happened, like with family members, relatives, friends, people you've been coaching, those sorts of things?
Right, yes. With the people, see, I have started my coaching only in 2021, so there aren't many that who already completed that coaching session. But yes, my friends who already know me that this is something I am following from long, they when I converse with them, that is, I don't I don't focus, I don't actually say directly that I am not doing this, I am a minimalist, so I'm not doing this, I am a minimalist, and so this is not something it works. When we are in a conversation talking about various aspects, so I try to fit minimalism lifestyle in our conversation, to look it more organic or or natural, so that they don't see me boasting my lifestyle or what I am in. So yes, friends who see me doing that, minimizing my commitments, my work, my stuff, they also see the benefit behind it, because they are seeing me transforming from a person who was already in who was always into buying, shopping, and now a person who is following her passion, even with kids. I am following my passion. So they really see that something is there, must be there, that is helping me, that is enabling me to reach my goal, and that is minimalism. But I don't really push them into that.
No, of course. Something I sort of wanted to get like specifics, and maybe I think this would be interesting to see how what you come up in terms of answers. So, like, I have a few things put down, and maybe you could share how people can. Obviously, you wouldn't want to like advertise that this is the only way of going about things, but possibly give like a scenario of
Right.
how they could go ahead with it. So, if you look at money, like, how should what's a possible minimalist approach to money? Is it simply focusing on like spending it in the things that really add value to your life? Is it like, yeah, what's if I have to say money, so what's a minimalist approach to money?
There's no limit to the amount which I like to be entering in my account, so I can add as many zeros I wish to, by working day and night, maybe, by doing double shifts in some cases. But we ourselves have to put a limit on that amount, that I am working, but I will not sacrifice my other needs or my other areas of life to earn that money. And while I'm spending that, yes, I should be mindful of that, because otherwise it doesn't have any, doesn't have any, you can't really have a calculation for your money, what is going out. So we shouldn't actually create these leaks in our bucket. So I call it money bucket. If I want to put in money bucket, we shouldn't create these leaks. So if I'm someone who want to have Starbucks twice a day, but I am not really, my salary, or I'm not really affording that, but I want that because my peers or my social media is promoting that. So I want Starbucks for twice a day, and this may be a money leak, bucket leak for yourself. I am subscribing to so many magazines or I have so many subscriptions for myself, but I don't really use them on regular basis. So according to the worth it is adding to in my life. So these are the leaks we should be aware of, that we are not adding these leaks in our money bucket, more of them, because otherwise we can't track where it is going.
Yeah. What is your approach to social media? Because this is something I've noticed for myself, that first of all, like, let's just tackle the elephant in the room, in that sense that people always have this bad rep for social media, that it's too addictive, it's this, it's that. But I genuinely feel that there is a place for social media because it's a beautiful thing. It lets you interact with people who you possibly would have never had the opportunity to interact with. So in that sense, I think it's second to none in that sense. But obviously with everything, you have to sort of monitor it in that sense. Like, something I've seen in my life is that if I've spent a whole day on Twitter or something of that sort, I just don't feel fulfilled when I go to bed at night, like, oh, it's productive or this that. Whereas if I've been working on things, if I've been doing other things around, and if sometime during the day, once, let's say, I open social media, I go through it, and for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever, and at night when I go to bed, I'm just more fulfilled, if that makes sense, because in some sense I've been able to, let's say, make use of social media, but then again not be like I don't know, drowned into it in some sense. So what is your sort of thinking around social media? Should people use it? Shouldn't people use it? Or I guess should is a word minimalist
should is very rigid word, I guess. But yes, we should use it. We can't survive without it in the world, in the current world, in the current scenario. We can't survive. Wherever we are, whoever we are, whatever we are doing, we can't just survive without social media. That we should accept at first. And being a mother, I started looking at not exactly social media, but screen. I started looking at screen as an hindrance to my kids' growth. But somewhere I had to accept that it is a norm. It is a normal. And without accepting that, I just can't move forward. I have to accept somewhere that it is a need. It has become a need, because if I talk about myself, I even would not be able to, bump into this minimalism word without social media. So yes, social media has a lot to offer, but only if we are aware, only if we are mindful how much to absorb. Because when Clubhouse came recently in India, month or 2 months back, people just jumped into it, and some people are there on Clubhouse for good 24 hours. I mean, they are just not offline out of Clubhouse, so they are always there. So you have to you have to make that line for yourself, that okay, you have to create your time calendar, your day calendar, that this much time I have to be on social media for, to add value in others' lives, to learn more, whatever reason you are having. And after that, you just don't touch it. By not touching it, I means while you're cooking. Because when I cook, yes, there may be many times a message is coming in, a notification coming in. Notifications are, they follow us everywhere. So we have to be very mindful that at least when we are doing something else, we are not looking at our phones and always getting to that notification which is coming 24/7. So this is the reason why I don't have TV at my home. Because I feel it's really a noise, that normal dish TV I'm talking about. Because even if you are not watching it, and there are many homes where TV is always on, and it is a noise. In that case, it is not adding any value. You are not watching it. Noise is just permanently or continuously coming into your ears and adding a distraction.
And sometimes what I've seen is that people sort of get used to it, so they start speaking a little louder so that the other people can hear them.
Right. And some people even say, I just can't sleep without having my TV on or without having noises from whatever devices they have.
I didn't know that.
So some people go to that extreme as well, but yes, extremes are always there. And even minimalists, people have their extremes when they renounce the world and go live in a caravan. So extremes are always there. They are coexisting. Yeah.
So as Buddha said, you have to take the Madhya Marg, the middle path.
Middle path. Yes, it's always beneficial to not go to the extremes and just
Yeah. No, yeah, he was smart.
Finding it later, then, it was not my cup of tea. It was something I did, I did, but I am I'm guilty of that. So better follow middle path and not be regretful.
So we were speaking a little bit before we started off about podcasting in general, and you asked me about like when I started podcasting, and you said that you started off podcasting in a similar time frame as well. Like, what do you make of the medium of podcasting in general? Like in terms of it allowing individuals to express ideas. In like, because I think like I fall in love with podcasting when I started watching it back in the day, and I really knew I wanted to do something of that sort because it's so much different to the other social media platform, the other media platforms that are out there, because you can generally sit down with an individual and have a conversation with them and simply explore the things and take it to depth, and the time isn't a constraint as such, if that makes sense. Like, what do you make of the platform?
So, are you asking me as a podcaster or as someone who is listening to podcasts?
I guess you could say both, right? In some sense, because what your journey has been through a podcaster and seen how podcasts are, and even like as a consumer listening to them.
So, being someone who was a camera shy person.
Unlucky for this one.
Who was a camera shy person, who is still a camera shy person, I must confess, because I'm not much into video part, and I found myself more comfortable with starting something audio. So I have that liberation when it comes to podcasting, because it doesn't matter, what things are, where I am. Am I still sitting in a studio, well maintained, or what? And is my background really supporting the niche I am in? You need proper lighting for the video, and you need proper equipment. So someone who is not comfortable with videos, I found myself very comfortable with starting with podcasts. Yes, certainly. Podcasting journey has been very fruitful because I get to know so many people in my niche or in other niches as well. So in season 1, it was only my experiences. I shared only my experiences around minimalism, but I felt that it's not sufficient. It's not adding diverse experience. I must say it is not adding more value. So I started inviting people to my podcast, where I wanted people to share their journey and their struggles, their challenges with their journey as well. So that way I gained my confidence, and now I'm sitting in front of you doing my first video podcast. So yeah, the journey was very giving. Yeah.
So
yes, and I missed one thing. As a podcast listener, it is not adding to distraction in case of other social media platforms, because it is one-sided thing. Someone is sharing their experiences, and you just have to listen. And listening is a powerful tool. When you listen, you learn a lot. And you can listen anytime, anywhere, whatever you are doing, wherever you are. So for me, as a listener too, it's very rewarding, because even if I am cooking, I can listen to podcasts. I can plug into podcasts with only, with my one earphone plugging into my ear, and not the other one, because I have to listen to my kids' voices as well.
Great. No, but that's such a great technology in that sense, isn't it?
Because I don't feel left out.
but not just that, but also in the sense of just this new period in which you could be doing so many, like, people spend so much time doing menial things around their house, right? Be it cooking, as you like, washing dishes, or if they're traveling on a commute, going to office, or those sorts of
Right.
things. And now they can simply tune into a podcast or something of that sort. Audiobooks, for that matter, play a
Right,
very
audio.
similar role. But they can sort of get like an education in that sense, because imagine the time people spend on the metro or going to work or
It's
that
huge.
sort of stuff.
It's huge.
It's
I mean, for some, it's 4 hours a day.
Yeah.
Yes, it is, because it was the same with me when I was in Mumbai a few years back. So commuting has certainly become easy with this podcasting. I have so many feedback from so many people in various sectors that commuting is just made easy because of this podcasting thing.
Yeah. Can you share some of the ideas that have come across, like, in the interactions you've had, not just in season 1 where you were exploring minimalism as an individual, but even with the guests you've had on, and some of the interactions that they've shared?
Okay, so there were many topics we have covered in season 2, because as of now we have had 22 episodes in season 2. It's about waste management, it's about our diet, it's about gratitude, it's about responsible travel. So it has so many aspects. And once there was a guest, Conscious Chokri, who is on Instagram as Conscious Chokri. She says she shared her experiences in Spain. I guess it's Spain or Sweden, I'm not sure. But she shared that kachra is kachra wherever you are. So we normally, sitting in India, we normally think that the countries abroad are so clean, and are so organized. Infrastructure is so great. So she shares some useful insights, interesting insights into that. Kachra is everywhere, and there are many times when you are doing things on a auto mode. So she was crossing this heap of waste daily basis, until one day when she noticed, when she walked the way all through, and she noticed that heap, and she started working on it. This is the way she got into waste management. She started her waste management journey. So that was an interesting thing I got to know from her, that how we tend to lose our focus, or how we tend to ignore so small things, and sometimes they are they are the spark we need for our passion. So that is one thing. And the other thing with composting. So one lady named Dr. Vidya, who was a lady who was doing composting from some time then, and she shared her maggots journey, that I had maggots in my first try, and my parents or in-laws were so agitated at me and what I'm doing. So there are many funny incidents or funny anecdotes from those episodes. One is from Kalpana Manivannan, a lady who is into farming, who is into modern farming after quitting her career. So she is now really following her passion through a farm. So she shared that these all chemicals we are bringing into our homes. It was just an eye-opener for me that we are following these things we don't need. We don't certainly need call in to clean a glass and different cleaners for different applications. We don't need them. It's just the want created by these companies that we fell into, that we need so many cleaners for our house. We don't need, we need a single product for all the cleaning purposes, not those multiple products for glass cleaning, plastic cleaning, wood cleaning. So there's even Morton, just talk about Morton, and they have a chemical for mosquitoes, for lizards, separately for other uses. Oh my god, it's a chemical. It will work
for all insects,
equally for all insects.
Yeah.
So there were some really good anecdotes, but yeah, only these are coming to my mind.
No, these are fascinating, and I'd really recommend the listeners tune into your podcast as well. Listen, Upasana, this has been a really fascinating conversation. I've really enjoyed it.
Same here. Yeah, same here. It was very fun, and an icebreaker for me as well.
If there's anything you'd like to share, any social media links that you'd like to give out as well, feel free to.
Okay, so I'm coming up with my website coming soon. It is comebackminimalist.in, where I'll be listing all my coaching sessions in a single platform. And the podcast is already available on Spotify, Amazon Music, and so many other platforms you prefer. And yeah, that's all.
Thanks once again. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much, Ishan. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.